Welcome to Policy Points. Can't think of a better really place or time to do Policy Points than right here in Washington, D.C. Joined by Brandon Kern. He's Senior Director of State and National Policy with Ohio Farm Bureau. What's unique about this trip? Usually it's county presidents that come along. That'd be Kevin Holy. He's County President of Geauga County. We also have two other groups with us, including AgriPOWER Class 13 and our Young Ag Professionals. Representing YAP, Jonathan Zucker from Marion County, and Heidi Breyley is joining us with AgriPOWER. Welcome to you all. BK, we have a lot to talk about here in Washington, D.C., and our timing's pretty good too.
It's pretty incredible as usual. It's a very busy week in DC this week. Following the headlines, we're dealing with potential rail strike this week. We'd already been planning on talking to our members of Congress about logistics and supply chain disruptions that are still persisting, from the pandemic. Let alone throw in a rail worker strike into the equation with that particular piece of the equation. We're approaching the next farm bill, so one of the things that our folks here talking about the importance of the farm bill in general. Obviously, members across the state continue to struggle with input prices, so inflationary pressure and input prices top of mind for a lot of our growers. I know we're talking to members about that, and of course there's been so much talk about climate change, and there's a hearing this week on an item that we have been very actively advocating, and that is the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission's climate rule, seeking to require companies to disclose the greenhouse gas emissions of their supply chains, which obviously include farmers and production agriculture. So a very timely hearing taking place this week. Our members are going to have a chance to talk to their members of Congress directly about that while it's going on. So it's pretty fitting.
Kevin Holy, County President, as I mentioned, in Geauga County. You've been here before, you've done this and talked with your representatives. How important is it to be out front, face to face with our lawmakers here in D.C.?
Yeah, so it's a great experience. This is my second year coming. To really get out and talk to the congressmen is really a great thing. They all pay attention, they actually listen, so it's great to be one-on-one with them, with just a couple of people, and talk directly to them.
Who'd you visit with and what'd you visit about?
So we visited Dave Joyce, Congressman Dave Joyce, and we talked about inflation, a little bit about the rail car issue, and mostly inflation and just how it's affecting farmers, how their input costs are going on. We just told our story and helped them understand who we are and what we really do.
We have that experience here in D.C., but also younger people that are learning about the policy aspects of the nation's capital. Heidi Breyley in that group. She's with AgriPOWER Class 13, and you were really interested about how this all works. What have you learned so far this week here in D.C.?
Yeah, it's been a great experience as far as understanding what policy impacts has, but I think the biggest thing of taking away is the conversation that we can have and the voice that we have currently in our farming operations or within our counties to share that message to our representatives and congressmen as far as them voting on some of these aspects and policies that we can implement in the county.
Who'd you talk to and what were your topics of discussion?
So we talked to Bob Gibbs, and some of the topics that we talked around were the Technology Act that was coming. We also touched on the rail side of things, and so from a technology side, it's very impactful for us to have those tools for farmers and businesses to move their operations forward, but also make sure that we're not building resistance to certain things as we continue our operations.
Jonathan Zucker, a very active member on the Young Ag Professionals Committee, here with a big group, a big contingency of Young Ag Professionals. What a great opportunity as young people to be here and see how this all works, but also to learn from older leaders we have here in Farm Bureau, the county presidents, and really that mesh adds a new dimension to this trip, doesn't it?
It's always great to be here, to be with our seasoned veterans who have been here more than once, and to be here with our congressmen who want to know what we're going through, being able to tell them our story, which is the most valuable thing we can do. I can't imagine a better place for Ohio Farm Bureau to be than right here.
Who'd you visit with and what you talked about?
Visited with Jim Jordan, and we had three main points with Jim Jordan. We were very concerned about the upcoming potential strike with the railroads. We were very concerned about the Farm Bill being able to continue allowing for crop insurance, since a lot of farmers are using that to hedge against their future. And the other main topic was WOTUS. We're still really concerned about the EPA wanting to come and regulate our field time and our waterways.
He might have a future in politics. I said older. He said seasoned, so I think he's learning the ropes here about how to say the right things at the right time. Brandon Kern, as we wrap up, just talk about, as an organization, giving our leaders, our young people in the industry, this platform, this opportunity to meet. That's a pretty rare thing for anybody across the country to have the chance to do.
I think an important part of our business and being an effective advocate is building relationships, and you can do that in a lot of different ways. You can have your elected officials on your farm back home and connect with them personally, then also coming to the place where they work too, and seeing the halls of Congress, seeing how the process works, and building those relationships over the years is probably what we're hoping to be able to achieve here through this trip. And I think we a perfect example of the type of relationships we built. We're bidding farewell to two of our members of Congress, Senator Portman and Congressman Gibbs, who have been longtime friends of agriculture. We did a little something special for them, kind of a send-off, as this will be their last big trip. Farm Bureau members coming to D.C. to visit them, and I think they were both really touched, and that really speaks to the personal relationships we built with these members during their time here. So we're hoping that this trip is just one piece of that, building those relationships.
Really an all-access pass for our members, and you can follow along with our trip here in Washington, D.C. for the leadership experience online at ohiofarmbureau.org. Brandon Kern, Senior Director of State and National Policy with Ohio Farm Bureau, also joined by Jonathan Zucker, Heidi, Breyley, and Kevin Holt. I'm Ty Higgins. This is Policy Points. We'll see you down the road.